Hey audio geeks, welcome back to the channel and a very happy new year to you all. I hope 2022 is a great year for all of us and I look forward to making many more videos in the upcoming year. After having started the channel way back in February last year, I've been lucky enough to have had lots of products sent over to me for review, and it's always exciting to receive the next package and evaluate a new product. It's even better when said product exceeds your expectations by a long way. The last time that happened was probably when I reviewed the Bluesound PowerNode 2021, which is probably, for me anyway, the product of last year. And I'm delighted to say that the product that I'm going to be looking at today, the Tin T3 Plus IEMs, they're another pleasant surprise. So Tin Hifi are a hi-fi audio manufacturer and are perhaps best known for the Tin T2 IEMs. The T3 Plus are their latest release, coming in at around £50 or $70, and there are many reasons why I think that these are probably the best 50 quid pair of IEMs that you can get at the moment. But let's just digress for a moment. When you're talking about budget IEMs, you usually get one of two setups, either a single dynamic driver setup or a hybrid setup featuring a dynamic driver and a number of balanced armature drivers. Hi-fi manufacturers, I think, try and convince consumers that more drivers equate to better quality sound. Now that's absolutely not true, as we saw with the Moondrop Starfield, which, despite packing just a single dynamic driver, is probably still my go-to recommendation for a £100 IEM. And once again, the Tin T3 Plus with its single 10mm dynamic driver proves that less is sometimes a lot more, but we'll get to that in a minute. So the T3 Plus arrives in a nicely understated package containing the IEMs themselves, a few pairs of silicone ear tips and the cable, along with a nice cloth carrying case. The cable is a 2-pin 0.78mm connector and is one of the nicer cables in budget IEM land. It's certainly better than, for example, the Moondrop cable, and is also a lot better than the typical KZ cables. It's reasonably thick, slightly less tangly perhaps than those other cables, and it has no irritating microphonics when it bangs against your clothes when you're out and about. The 2-pin connection to the IEMs is really secure, and I didn't worry about the earpieces pulling off. The 3.5mm jack termination feels really solid and pretty tactile. The IEMs themselves are very nice. It's Tin Hifi's first resin shell IEM, and as such it has an attractive marbled appearance with the logo embossed in gold. Overall it feels pretty classy and quite sturdy. The silicone ear tips are fine, but it would have been nice to have had some foamies. You know what a big fan I am of foamies. That sounds a bit rude, doesn't it? But you know what I mean. In terms of fit, for me, these are some of the comfiest IEMs I've worn. They fit just right and don't cause any sore pressure points in my ear, even after long listening sessions. I can even, and this is a rare thing, I can even comfortably wear them in bed without them poking into my lug holes in an uncomfortable way. Let's get back to the tech specs then. And as mentioned, the T3 Plus features a 10mm liquid crystal polymer dynamic driver housed within a copper enclosure. They're easy to drive at 32 ohms and 105 decibels per milliwatt sensitivity. You will not need an amp to squeeze the juice out of these beauties. I hooked mine up to my FiO BTR5 to play some lovely lossless FLAC files, and also to my iPhone via the HipDAC V2 that I tested recently to stream some Tidal. There was a proper wide range of music pumped through these IEMs, the genre encompassing my usual mix of electronic, alternative rock, indie and classical. My impression is that Tin have done a really good job here with both the tuning and the timbre, and overall the impression is of a very enjoyable pair of IEMs that will suit most users on a budget, regardless of the musical genre you are listening to. The frequency response shows a fairly neutral tuning with a bit of mid-bass emphasis. There are some peaks at 4 and 8 kHz to add a bit of sparkle at the top end, but thankfully this is done without adding any shoutiness or sibilance. Bass is certainly present, but not overwhelming. It doesn't bleed into the lower mids. If there's one criticism, it's perhaps that the bass doesn't have as much texture and nuance as more expensive IEMs, but it's a minor niggle at this price point. Moving on to the mid-range, I think it's clean, fairly neutral, and both male and female vocals sound really good and distinct. I particularly enjoyed the female vocals, so even something like Sia's vocal acrobatics on David Guetta's In Flames sound exciting without seeming harsh at all. The top end isn't particularly emphasised, and these are certainly not the most revealing IEMs at treble frequencies, which makes them a smooth and relaxing listen. But perhaps for those of you treble addicts who want to hear the fine details of every last crisp cymbal hit, you might find these a little bit lacking. For me, they were fine. Soundstage is surprisingly decent in depth and width, but instrument separation isn't best in class here. Timbre, as I've already said, is excellent though. You don't get any of that metallic clang that you sometimes hear with balanced armature IEMs at this price point. Overall then, I think these sound incredibly pleasant and compete very well with even the £100 Moondrop Starfields. The Starfields lack the bass presence of the T3 Plus, although the Starfields perhaps have the more nuanced bass. The Starfields definitely offer more detail retrieval, although they are similarly smooth in their presentation, non-fatiguing you might say. So, with a good solid sound quality, excellent build and comfort, and a really tempting price, I'm delighted to award these Tin T3 Plus the coveted Audio Fixation Silver Award. Well done Tin, it's the first set of Tin IEMs that I've reviewed on the channel. I look forward to seeing where the company goes next. I hope you found that interesting. Let me know what you think of these if you've picked up a pair. And once again, I hope you've had a lovely Christmas, have a great new year, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.